And this is InDesign session number 8, and the topic of this one is going from Photoshop to InDesign. In our previous session we did from Illustrator into InDesign. This time I want to show you a little workflow that goes from Photoshop into InDesign. Now if you browse your way, if you go to Start in Computer and browse your way to Drive letter L, and look inside your assignments folder and find the folder for this particular session, you'll see this PDF right here, PS to ID, Photoshop to InDesign. I'm going to double click that, pull it up, show you what we're doing here today. 20 pointer today. There will be some work to do in Photoshop. All right, we have more Photoshop coming later in this class, but this is kind of pretty quick and easy stuff. And you may want to pull this handout up here because it does have some step-by-step instructions about the things that I'd like for you to do with these photos that you're going to work with. Now, like the lion photo, the Timberlake and Jay-Z photo, and all those things, I've put them on Drive L on the course's drive. I guess if you want to do these effects with different photos, you could. You don't have to use the photos that I have provided, but you can make it easier on yourself if you just go ahead and use the photos that I've have put on here for you. All right, so let's take a look at how all this works. And I'm going to be kind of switching back and forth from this handout right here, just some different visual effects that you can easily do in Photoshop, and then we'll take a look at putting them into InDesign as well. It's going to look something like this when you get done. All right, these are the photos. I'm using the photos that I have provided for this session. If you want to use something different, you can. It can all be laid out on one page. It's not anything all that fancy. It's some photos with some Photoshop effects applied and then put into InDesign. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I will start a new document in InDesign. And I'll just keep it in portrait orientation. That's fine. Not going to change anything else here. So I'll just click OK, and I'm ready to roll. Now I'm going to kind of keep that right there and waiting for me while I go over to Photoshop and do the work in Photoshop that I need to do. All right, now you will find Photoshop by going to your Start button in the bottom left-hand corner. Go to All Programs. Go to your Adobe Web and Design Premium, and you'll find Photoshop CS6 in there. I'm working on my Mac, so I got Photoshop CS6 right down here, and I'll fire it up. All right. Now again, I'm going to be switching back and forth to, here's the handout, and the first thing I'm going to do is colorize this picture of this lion. All right, so I got to open the picture. Now, you will, when you're in Photoshop, you can go to File and Open, and you will go to the course's drive, to the assignments folder. I have a little folder here that I've set up for this, and here's the picture of the lion. You'll find these pictures in the Drive L on the course's drive for this project. All right, so I'm going to open that up. All right, so here's the original picture of the lion. Now if I flip back here to the handout, it says that here's what we're going to do. Layer, new adjustment layer, hue and saturation. Okay, let's do that. Let me get back to get back to Photoshop here. All right, I'll go to the layer menu, new adjustment layer, and I'm going to do hue and saturation. All right, I'll click OK here, and then over in Photoshop over here to the right, when it pops up with this panel for hue and saturation, I'm going to colorize this photo, and you can just kind of play around with the hue of the photo. I'm going to slide the hue here a little bit, and you'll see that the picture of the lion is kind of changing colors. You make it whatever shade you want. Here's like an orangish, pinkish, reddish, greenish, bluish, purplish, whatever you want. All right, I'm going to go with kind of a bluish image like that. You can play with saturation and lightness too if you want to. All right, so when you get something done, all right, so what do you do when you got it done? You want to save it. Well, here's what you do. I'm going to go to the File menu and Save for Web. All right, CS6 might not say devices on it. It might just say Save for Web, but you'll find it. And I'm going to I'll show you this, but I'm going to set it to JPEG. I'm going to save it, and I'm just going to save it, get to a folder where you want to save it and give it a name that you'll remember. I'll just call it like Lion Colorized. All right, so I'll go back here to Photoshop, and I'll go File, Save for Web. I want it to be a JPEG, so I'll set that. And I'll come down here to Save. And again, I just want to get to a file where I can say, I'll just save it in the same folder. You just need to save it on your network drive, so it's going to be Lion colorized. Okay, got it. There it is. All right, now for the next one, what I want to do is I'm going to crop this Justin Timberlake Jay-Z photo. All right, so I got to open it up. I'll click File and click Open, and here's the Jay-Z Justin Timberlake. I'm going to open that up. Now you see what it is a side-by-side photo of the two of them. Now, I don't care which, you could crop it to be just Justin Timberlake, or you could crop it to be just Jay-Z, whichever one you want, doesn't matter. I'm going to get the cropping tool. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th tool down, cropping tool. And when you turn on the cropping tool, you get these handles that appear around the picture. And so, if, for example, if I want to crop it down to be Justin Timberlake, I can grab a cropping handle and just pull it over here so Jay-Z's not in the picture anymore, and I can either double click or press enter right there to finish that crop, and there it is. Now it's cropped it down so that Justin Timberlake is the only one in the picture. So I'm just going to save this. I'll do a save for web once again, and I want it to be a JPEG, so I've got that set right here. I'm going to come down to the save button right here, and again I'll just save it in this folder that I've got. You would go to your network drive, so I'll just save it here in this folder that I'm working with, and I'll just call it cropped. Got it. Okay, good. All right, looking back at our handout here, the next one I'm going to posterize the photo of the F-35 airplane. Again, it's one of those adjustment layers, so it's going to work like this. I'll open it up first, File and Open, and I'll get the picture of the F-35. It's right here, and I'll open that. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to go to the Layer menu. I'm going to do a new adjustment layer, and I'm going to posterize this, and I'll click OK. Now over here again to the right toward the layers panel over here in Photoshop, you'll see like a levels adjustment here, and so you can kind of play with that. And if I push away over here, it doesn't look a whole lot different. I'm going to pull it back this way, and I'm getting more, as I pull it more toward like a lower level adjustment down on when it's down on 2, it really makes a dramatic change to that picture. Up on 5, it's a little less, and you can kind of tweak that to be whatever you think looks cool. All right, whatever you want is fine. I'll go with this. All right, I've got the level set on 7. All right, so I'm going to do a save for web here. I'll do save for web, File and Save for Web. Again, I want it to be a JPEG, so I've got it set for JPEG. I'll go down to the Save button, and I'm just going to rename this. It'll be F-35 Posterized. That's the effect that I did to that one. All right, got it. All right, now I'm going to get back to my handout here again real quickly, and you'll notice on the 4th photo for fading it, for the tulip photo that I'm going to use, it says no Photoshop required, instructions in step 3. All right, so when I get down here to step 3, I'll be able to take care of that here in just a minute. All right, now step 2 here says to start InDesign and create a new document, but you might remember I kind of did that at the start of this movie. My new document is sitting here waiting for me. All right, so I'll go back to my handout again here in a minute. I just missed it. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and place all these pictures. All right, I just want to take the work that I did in Photoshop and place them into InDesign. Now, for the most part, that's really not going to be anything new or hard or anything at all. I can just go here to File and Place, and I'll have to make sure I browse to my folder. I'm in my Photoshop to InDesign folder here. Actually, I think my new ones are in here. Okay, here's like Lion Colorized right here. This is the one I just did, Lion Colorized. So I'll open that up, and I get and I think, let me cancel that for a minute. You may or may not have this happen. If I go to File and Place, because of the previous movie, my Show Import Options is set here. I could turn that off if I wanted to for right now, but I've got Show Import Options turned on. It's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. All right, so that's why I get this extra box here. I'm just going to click OK on that. I get the cursor that looks like a photo. I'll drag it out. I can do the auto fit. I could put a stroke on it, put that wherever you want. Got it. All right, good enough. I could do a right click and go to effects and add like a drop shadow if I wanted to, but for right now I'll just put that picture on there. All right, let's keep going. I'll deselect that, and I'll go to File and go to Place. And I also want to I'll do the F-35 Posterized. All right, I want to take the work that I created. There's that little preview I get. Okay, I want to take the work that I created in Photoshop and just put it here in InDesign. For right now, that's all I'm really worried about. All right, and I'm going to do the auto fit option on there. And okay, good, got it. I could add a border, I could add an effect if I wanted to, but I think I'm good. All right, I'm going to go to, I got to make sure I deselect that. If you don't deselect something, remember, if you go to File and Place, it'll just stick whatever you're placing right into that frame, and I don't want that to happen. All right, so I'll go to File and Place here, and I want the cropped photo. All right, that's the Justin Timberlake thing. All right, so I'll get that, and I'll just put Justin over here. I'll do the auto fit option up here, and like always, I could add a border around it or whatever. All right, got that. Lovely. All right, so one more to go, and this is where I'm going to do the tulip picture. And it said, like I said, I didn't do any Photoshop work on the tulip picture. Really what I want to do is just fade it. So I'm going to follow these instructions right here. I'm going to use this picture of this tulip, and I'm going to drop its opacity or its transparency. All right, so watch how I do this. Okay, back to InDesign here, and I'm just going to place I'll do File and Place, and I've got this picture of these tulips, and I'll open it up. Here's a little preview of it. All right, I'll click OK. This is a trick you might want to use on our next big project that's coming up. All right, so I'll put that in there. All right, now I'm going to click on this. I use my black arrow here and click on here. All right. I got that little grabber there. All right. Now really, I think if you just go to right click and get to right click, and I've just got to get it selected, sorry. Right click and effects and transparency. Okay. Now the opacity or the transparency is set on 100% right now. So I can click that setting right there, and I can just fade that down to whatever level I want. And this can be a really kind of a nice trick, and you'll see it here again coming soon in another movie, where you can take a picture and kind of lay it onto a page and fade it down, and it can really be pretty useful, and I'll show you that kind of thing here soon. So that's what really all I want to do here is take that transparency of that tulip picture and fade it down to whatever level you want and click OK. All right, hey, look at there. There it is. I got a colorized photo that I did in Photoshop, the posterized, the cropped, the faded. Great, wonderful. All right, so this is going to be a file and save as. You get over to your network drive and you save it. I would recommend just call it PS to ID. That's Photoshop to InDesign. Save it on your network drive. Then take the finished file and drag it and drop it into your turn-in folder on Drive L. And look at you. You got another one done. All right, it's time for you to go to work. Off you go.